What about now, Kevin?
You hear me?
Yeah, there we got it.
Must have been, I don't know.
Something with the last meeting, the way
You
we
know,
set up.
this is this old age, man. You know, it just makes me feel like anxious most of the time. But you got to join. You got to do this. You know what I mean? When
You
we
got to keep
start,
doing it, yeah.
is the thing happening or what? Are we on the Irish Italian era? Or what?
Yes, we are. Finally. God, I couldn't believe it. Anyway, but I was trying to tell the audience that you're a lifetime member of the Actors Studio, writer, singer, songwriter. Now, your
Right.
music, before we get into acting, your music is, what genre is that? Is it blues or
That's
folk?
kind of blues folk, like Dylan Springsteen. You know,
Yeah.
it's story. I mean, I got rock and roll, a lot of rock and roll, a lot of blues, but like protest songs, like the folk along the folk lines, to
Yeah.
some degree, but folk with the sense that with the little anger and a little social protest.
What was
Um,
that actor singer's name with the folk music? God, I can't remember. I know you because your singing reminds me of him. He had that voice.
Joe Cocker,
No, 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 no. It'll come to me later, but he was
Neil
an actor.
Diamond.
Huh?
Neil Diamond.
Oh, well, uh,
Uh, you wish I wish I could think of
yeah, let's say put you in this class. Uh, I, I see his face. You even look but like him a little bit
it.
too.
Hmm.
Uh, anyway, now let's talk about acting. I tried to put it on Facebook and I put the thing up there, and I don't know, there's someone wrong on that today too. Uh, what was I going to say? When did you
Acting.
start acting?
I started acting in. I did something in high school. I played sports, and then I went to college and I played football, and then I got cast in a play, and I liked the attention I was getting in the play more than I liked tackling guys and waking up with concussions. But I was afraid to commit to acting. I was just a little afraid of the theater, and um, so I traveled the country. I read on the road, and I traveled the country, and I started doing these things I learned in acting classes, monologues, and on the road I was doing street theater. So then I came back and I got in the film Hair. Just stumbled upon it, and 3 days I was jumping around. I was sleeping on a park bench, and the guy said, "You want to get paid?" I said, "Yeah." I was just like wild. And I met this guy, this little artist guy. He was a priest. I found out later. And I met this girl, this ballet dancer at Grand Central. Went up to Poughkeepsie. I came down with her. She wouldn't let me in the house. Another day in Central Park, and then I found a place on 9th Street, on Avenue B. And when I was traveling, some guy said Bill Hickey, studied with Bill Hickey, and I went over there and I did something. Bill Hickey said, "You got it, kid. You got it.
Yeah,
You remind me of my Irish setter, Raffaello."
yeah.
Yeah, he was just, Bill Hickey was great, man.
HB Studios. Yeah.
Yeah, so then I started taking classes, and Hickey allowed me to go for free, and so I was taking movement, and I was doing like these things in tights, and the director said, "Good, good, John." I said, "Yeah, the question is, can he act? Get out of the class." I'm going out with the tights on. He said, "You have more talent than anybody in this class, but you're not using it." So then I got into play. I got into play at the Performing Garage. Then I did Waiting. And he wants a Bronx at 13th Street. I did play Hello out there. And I started working. And I wanted to work as much as I could. So I worked and worked and worked. I did theater. And then I did, Biloxi Blues, the tour of Biloxi Blues. I did Orphans in a regional theater. I did some soaps and, I did independent movies. And I started writing. Out of that came writing plays. So my first play was about a midget outside a whorehouse. Ladies, beautiful ladies. That's right. Nothing but the nude flesh, Jack. Stripped down to that bare essence of feminine charm. Girls, all kinds of girls. Ladies, beautiful ladies. So then the kid comes along and goes, "Short as you, not short as me, wise guy. Hate right in the balls." A little midget's talking up to the kid. And I was living in a cold water flat on 42nd and 10th Avenue. And I was rehearsing actors on the roof, And I did that play. And we got a great review, but I was about 140 pounds, and I was like this Jewish girl I met. I moved from the cold water flood. Thank God, I was thinking about her the other day. She took me in, and I auditioned for the Actors Studio, and I did a play by Sam Shepard, Cowboy Mouth. And we did it. We were doing a thing, and you know, I started breaking down and crying and going into the cry, and they said scene. I went no, and I did this double backflip from here, and I walked out, and Al Pacino was sitting there going, all right, we got something going on here now, we're ready. So I walked out of there, and they invited me in as a finalist. And you know, I worked there, and I worked with Francis Fisher, and I met all the people, and then I came back to audition as a member, and I did a play that I wrote about two brothers, which Bill Hickey helped direct, and then I came out here. I did a lot of music of CBGBs and the folk over in Greenwich Village, by Washington Square Park. I did music and started writing and acting, and I was doing stuff, and then I came out to LA to do a play that I wrote, and the play got a great review and everything, but it was like my living situation was crazy, so I went back to New York, and I wound up homeless, in my hometown, and I somehow got out of that and got back, and I got a room in a place, and I stayed there, and I was fortunate. I met this actor, John P. Ryan, and he really helped me, just talking to me. I would go over to his place, and he would just talk, and I came out of that somehow by the grace of God, and I wrote a play for the Actors Studio for children, and then I auditioned. I was helping people all the time. I was, and they said, "What is this guy? He keeps showing up." And I helped this one guy in this play by John Ford Noonan called "Some Men Need Help," and I was just helping an actor, and Mark Rydell came out and said, "Who wrote that play?" And I said, "John Ford Noonan." And Susan Pretz told me, "Did you hear you got invited into the Actors Studio, but you got to talk to Marty." So I talked to Marty, and Marty said, "You're very talented, but there was one moment you took that chair and you put it down, and I thought you were going to break it." I said, "Marty, I did that exactly to the T." And he said, "Well, you're a very talented guy. We welcome you to the Actors Studio." I gave him a hug, and I started working at the Actors Studio like nobody's business. And I met Michael there, Michael J. Pollard, and
we'll get into him later.
Yeah, this was down the road, and my first play, I wrote this one-person show called the KevinKellyShow.com about me alone in my apartment. I live in the Montecito, and which a lot of Actors Studio people used to live in. And Michael went on stage with me as I was doing the one-person show. He just sat there like looking, and So I did that play, and then I shot a film in 3 days, and it's about this guy who falls in love with this girl, and I'm talking to Michael about it all the time. What should I do? And Michael comes in, he's looking, I don't know, I don't know what. So and I shot this, and I gotta find somebody to edit it. So. It's called Have You Seen Michael? And I wrote a song called Have You Seen Michael? I went to Michael's memorial. It was at the Actors house there, the motion picture home. And
I didn't know about that. I would have went.
I don't know.
A lot of people didn't know about it.
Yeah, I know. It wasn't. I did this funny thing. They said, "Anybody else want to share?" I said, "Michael, come on. Come on, you said you wanted to speak at your funeral. Come on, will you come?" So I go on stage, and I'm going, "Come on, Michael, will you? Jesus, you pissed me off." And then I started talking about him, and I sang this song, and there was this guy there, Daniel Selznick, who said, "Where have you been? You are a genius. You're a movie star." And I was going, "Yeah." So, but. There, like a Rolling Stone was playing the whole time. Michael wanted that to happen, and we set them up in a good way. You know what I mean? It wasn't like, but pictures came up, and he was such an incredible actor. He had what dogs and animals have. You can't teach it, man.
Right.
I just thought he was the catch me out. At the Actors Studio, he would do something, and then. This moderator would say, so what did you work on, Michael? And he went, Heat? He didn't know. He never knew what he was working on. He did. Actually, he had a method to his madness, but we were like, Mutt and Jeff, man. We just hung out all the time. He had this waitress that he liked, and I would go to his diner, and then I had a waitress I was in love with, and we'd stare at her, drink coffee, and we were two schmoes, no place to go, walking. He would walk all over the place. He was like Forrest Gump, you know.
I
So
walked with him many a time. Many a times we walked together.
yeah,
I used to kid him a lot. Yeah, in Bonnie and Clyde, I used to ask him, "Why did you park the car?" Remember Bonnie and Clyde? He was waiting outside
Right.
the bank, and he parked the car. I said, "Why'd you park the car?" Instead of waiting outside the bank. And he
Right.
didn't know how to drive. Michael
Oh,
didn't know how
he
to
did.
drive.
I heard that. Yeah.
Yeah, he didn't know how to drive. He was unbelievable, Michael. One of a kind.
Yeah.
Never be another one.
No, he was. He just was a very interesting fellow. You know what I mean?
So was John Ford Noonan.
John Ford Noonan. Do you know him?
Yes, when he lived in Manhattan Plaza.
Yeah.
Well, Eileen Brennan made his play famous.
A couple white chicks sitting around.
Yeah, because she did that originally.
Mm-hmm.
And she really put him on the map with that.
I used to go to the gym, and he'd be like, jogging in place with this kind of like outfit on, a big beard, and he'd always be, I always see him running around town and shadow boxing and
Jimmy Ray's. I
Yeah.
think he was the first one to wear the hat backwards.
yeah.
Yeah.
He had some trouble. He had some trouble though. He was
yeah.
hospitalized, wasn't he?
Yeah,
He wrote a lot. That guy, he wrote a lot of plays, man.
he was something else. John was something else.
Yeah, he was a very. I wish I'd got to know him better. I talked to him with the YMCA, and I just thought, I thought his plays were so like natural, and
Well, they were. I knew him from Jimmy Ray's in New York.
yeah.
This is where all the actors hung out.
I used to work at I worked there like 3 months as a busboy in Joe Allen's.
Hey, Joe Allen.
And,
Well,
I got
painted, though. We
Huh?
painted Joe Allen's.
Did
If we
you?
had money, we would go to Joe Allen's. Otherwise, we run up a tab in Jimmy Ray's.
Right.
You could run a tab in Jimmy Ray's.
Yeah.
Yeah, but Joe Allen's was. You had a few dollars. You went there.
Well, I was a busboy, and I dropped all these glasses, and they broke, and I was like, they say, the Jewish people say, when you break a glass, it's good luck.
Uh-huh.
And this woman was there saying, "Are you okay?" I said, "Yeah, okay." And she said, "Are you an actor?" I said, "Yeah." And she said, "My name's," I forget her name. She was a big casting director. She said,
Sylvia Fay and all that.
"I got an audition at Biloxi Blues to breaking the glasses." In the YMCA. And then I started, so I had been doing so much theater, man. I could do anything. I was like a wizard, sort of. I mean, I was just doing different kinds of plays and avant-garde plays and natural plays and Shakespeare. So when I auditioned, I did like so incredibly as an actor. They said, "Is he okay? He's amazing, but he's like a whirling dervish. But is he okay? Is he mentally stable?" And they called the Public Theater. They called Bill Higbee. They called all these people. They said Kevin Kelly's, he's a brilliant actor. And I got cast in that. And I was understudying 3 characters, and this one guy sprained his ankle. And I learned the whole role that night. And I did it the next day, and I was like I was trying not to fall asleep, but it was one of my best performances, ever, because I was like really the soldier, you know what I mean? And I had this one moment in the play where the guy comes out of the whorehouse, and the actor who played it came out, and he comes out limping, and then the guy said, "So how was it in there?" And he said, "I couldn't get it up. It was like one note. I came out like this." And he said, "How was it out there?" And how was it in there? I went. I got like 5 laughs going up the stage, because I couldn't find the words, and then at the end I'm going off, and they're laughing, the whole audience is going crazy, and I turn and go, "I couldn't get it up." So that was cool, and
So
anyway,
you're an instinct actor.
yeah, but yeah, I mean, I like improvisation and all that, but doing a play is something that's something you know, you find out what works, and you know, there's something nice about doing it because you, like all these Zoom plays I did. I did another Zoom play before Corona, A Corona by Barry Primus directed, and you know, you do it once, and boom, that's it. And you know, and I did mine in my kitchen, so. But really, I got these characters, you know, and I was still working, doing all this work. Where's he coming from? And I don't know. His son he's got a son. Well, maybe the son is. I'm divorced. But you know, and I did it, and I had my glasses on in the first scene, and I took them off. And I said, no, afterwards, I should have kept my glasses on the whole play, and I wanted to do it again. You know, because we rehearsed it, and the same thing with Barry's play. It was like, okay, that was one shot. You know what I mean? But what about another shot? Like theater, you get to. That's only the beginning of the process. Is the first, you know, performance that you give, and it's kind of like, you know, it's like blue balls. You know what I mean? Like I want another shot at the title. You know what I mean, Charlie? I could have been somebody. I just needed more. But the Zoom play is like, you know, a one shot deal. You know. But you know, it was fun. It was fun working with Barry. You know, he speaks in the language of the method actor. You know, he was saying, you know, I would work on this, and I would try to find some emotional recalls, and you know, there's places here. You know, when I was hurt, or I hurt somebody. And you know, we worked really slow, and you know, then you know, so it was nice the way we worked. And I was at the you know, at a good place, and when I did it, and it all came together. So Barry said, "You did such a great job," and Kevin, it was the best work I've seen you do. And I said, "All I did, Barry, was connect the dots that you had kind of put out there." Do you know what I mean? And then it all happened when I you know, put myself out there emotionally. All the work that we had done was there, you know, and that, you only get that when you do it, because the rehearsals, I'm staggering around. I don't think I'm good enough. The lines are not coming there, and you know. But then when you perform it, it's like, see you later, Mom and Dad. I got to go now. I got to flap my wings and see if I'm going to fly, you know. But it was fun, you know. It was. I really enjoyed doing the play. I wish we could do it again. And somebody was saying it might be a good film, and because it's a play about a guy and a girl, and the guy leaves the girl because he can't commit, and then he comes back online like you and me, and he's saying, "Can I have another chance? You know what I mean? Please." And she's like, "I had enough for you." But then she comes back, and I'm you know, saying, "Listen, can I come over and talk?" You know. So the Zoom play is interesting because I'm doing it, and I'm back here with something that I got to turn. Oh, look, there's people coming. The Black Lives Matter is. Come on, you guys, you know, they come back, and, you know, and you get up and you get something out of the refrigerator, you know, so you can go through all this behavior, but it's Zoom behavior, you know. So, John, I get a whole new career as a Zoom actor. Everybody wants to work with me. I'm like, you know, the biggest thing, you know.
Well, good for you. Good for you. Yeah. Barry's been around a while, too.
Yeah.
You know, and he knows he's a good director.
Yeah, I every time I work with him, I just... he's just right on, you know. Just you know, Anthony Calderaro. Remember Anthony?
Yes.
Yeah, I worked when he worked, and Kathy Leslie was another one. When I worked with them, I did kind of like performances. We got off book and 2 things at the Actors Studio, and both of those directors, they let me go to the point where I was like a child, and I was going, I don't know, can you help me get. I don't know where I'm going now. And they would say, okay, but just go here, over there. And, you know, because they let me explore and get it. And then, you know, they just said, okay, come on over here. You know, they just gently directed me with Kazan did. You know, he would let the actors go, you know what I mean? And you know, then he would put it together because he would let them find it. You know, and I so much enjoyed working like that. It's a little scary, but, you know, and I almost can't help but work like that. The lines are the last thing I learn, and you know.
I was talking to somebody about that. It says, don't worry about the lines, get the character, and
yeah, find where you are and ask yourself the questions, and and then the character will come. I was talking to somebody about I did play Orphans, and
Lyle Kessler's play.
yeah, and I became good friends with Lyle. I went to Thanksgiving at his place, and he came to see me play music not numerous times. But I was talking about when I was living in New York, and I got cast in Orphans at a regional theater in Richmond, Virginia, and I sprained my ankle playing basketball before I went down there. So I kept spraining different parts of my body because I sprained the ankle. And I was totally lost in what we were doing. And the other actor and the director were getting along fabulously, And I didn't know what I was doing. But then I got, one time I just said, when I said, the guy goes, "So what's your name?" I went, "Philip." And I got it just by the way that I said that word. And then when we performed it, I took off, and I was in a whole different. But I used to tape up my body, man. My whole body was like I'm limping almost. And then the play, I would go, and then the play was over, and I bandaged myself back up, and the knees and the ankles, and I tape myself up and go again because we did the play in the style of the Steppenwolf did it, But yeah, Lyle Kessler, what a great guy, Mark Rydell and Marty Landau, Mark cast me in James Dean, and I was mechanic number 3. And I when the reading, I said, yeah, and if James Dean dies, I'm playing his part. And Marty's the one who helped me with the one-person show. I did Private Moments, and that's how I created the whole aspect of being in my apartment and talking about my doubt of doing this whole thing as an artist, and then at the end I say, geez, I mean, I got a gift, and it's a blessing, and and then I sing a song and go out, but all those guys, man, they helped me so much, and I miss a lot of the people there, that have passed away, and
Yeah, we lost a lot.
yeah, but they were, it's great guys. And Marty Landau, Mark Rydell, they're living these lives, but they take the time to come in and to share, to do. It was just beautiful how they gave of themselves,
It's true.
And,
well, they were my 3 judges was Marty Landau, Mark Rydell, and Sidney Pollack.
Oh, Sidney Pollack too, huh?
When I did my final.
Mm-hmm.
But it was something, I've interviewed a lot of members, and there was one thing I forgot. I thought about it the other day, and what reminded me was, I did Joanna Cassidy's final. We did Streetcar. But when she became a member, how we signed in at the studio?
Yeah.
I remember the first time she was a member. I remember looking at Joanna Cassidy standing there and looking at the board. And she was looking, getting ready to sign in. But she was standing there, and I could tell that she had this moment going on where she was a member of the Actors Studio.
Yeah.
Finally.
Yeah.
And I thought about that. And I wondered what that moment felt like for you, the first time you realized you were a member of the Actors Studio.
Well, I'll tell you, I had done a lot of work as a finalist. I got up a lot and I worked, and I wrote a play that they did as a children's play because the city of West Hollywood said you got to do something because they got free rent at the Actors Studio,
Right.
And so when I got in, they said I had to talk to Marty first, and Marty was saying some of the people think that you're a loose cannon, and I went, me? And he hugged me, and he said, "You got a great talent, and a blessing. So we're going to use it." I said, "Thanks, Marty." And I didn't have a car then, and my first song was "In L.A. Without a Car," I sang, and I got off at the bus station on Sunset Boulevard, and I went into the church, the Catholic church there, and I just sat in the back, and I started to weep, and part of the weeping was at first that people don't understand me. Because I'm Irish Italian, I'm from New York, I let my feelings go, and I challenge people. And people think I'm out of control. I know I'm completely in control of what I'm doing, but that it hurt me, that some people might have thought that. Because, almost like Van Gogh. I wasn't saying I'm not Van Gogh, but Van Gogh's born the same day I was, and people didn't understand him. They just thought he was a lunatic. He knew he was involved in what he was doing in a deep way. And then I thought, it's a real blessing that God gave me this talent. And I'm sitting in the church and I started weeping. You know what I mean? So part of it was, I was saying thank you, and the other part was going, they don't understand me, but it doesn't matter because I have this with you, God. And so that's kind of that was a very beautiful moment that I had, because it was important for me. It was important for me, I'm sure, like you, to get into the actor's studio, and it's a real honor,
So you hit it on the head.
Yeah.
It's the one place I found, since we don't pay, I always felt equal with everybody there.
Yeah.
I never felt, when I would see people, Anthony Francioso or whatever, or Shelley Winters or whatever,
Sure.
I always felt equal. I never felt less than.
Yeah. I mean, Shelley used to be at this one place. She every time I worked, it seemed like she was moderating. And she said, "There's the actor," and she turned me on to her agent, Jack Gilardi, and but the same thing with Bruno Kirby. He did a reading of a play at the major studio and had me come in as the guy who kind of lights a fire during the play, sort of. The guy who's the bad guy or whatever, and all these great actors. Peggy McKay was she produced my first album, Lost in the Cracks of the Modern World, and she let me coach her, $50 an hour. I was going, all I had to do was say, do it again and breathe this time, So these were Jerry O'Loughlin, my first car that I got. Yeah. Jerry O'Loughlin gave me, and the guy said, "Listen, don't worry about it. Somebody's going to give you a car." And Jerry said, "You want my car?" It was the old Toyota. And I said, "Oh, thank you, man. I got no car now. I got taking a bus and walking around like a schmuck. But now I got a car, So although everybody there, helped me almost like a family, Okay. And I want my whole thing was to go to, the YMCA and, go to the actor studio and, just work spiritually on myself. And that's how I came out of the woods from homelessness out here to kind of having a second life, if you will. You know what I mean? I was kind of like everything was wiped out. Been running on, running on fumes for so long, it all hit me, and I was like, oh, I gotta stop. But then I got back, and I was back in the ring, and I was acting and writing, and I had 10 things going on. I was writing a screenplay, and I was doing this other play, and I was recording songs, and I was doing scenes, and and that's what I've been doing. I've been going from the acting to the writing to the music to the acting to the right, but almost like going like that. And I have my songs on the radio. My plays have been done, New York and Chicago and LA. But, I probably, because I've done so many different things, maybe I haven't focused on, just being an actor is enough, and if you really want to succeed in being an actor, you really have to, there's a business side of it that, I probably go, I don't care about that. That's a character flaw in a way, but in some ways it's a choice. I'd rather just keep, doing what I'm doing. I'm writing this whole book about that period when I went down and I came out of it. When we're going to this, writing group, and so it's exciting to go back into my life and look back at that place and where I grew up, because it's about, just all that stuff, all the past that we have, my years in New York and living in the cold water flat and growing up, going all these things, traveling the country and coming out to Los Angeles, all the girls who broke my heart, I got all this, you look back on your life, you go, oh, that's a lot of stuff. That's a lot of material I can use now,
Well, it's like Marty Landau said to us one day, our pain is a gift to the actor.
Yes. So I got a lot of gifts, John.
I know that. I was just.
I know you do too.
I was thinking to myself.
Yeah, no, you do too.
You have a lot of gifts going on in there.
Yeah.
And I think the most good actors or creative actors, it's that pain that we come from,
Yeah.
When I look back at my life or whatever, we went to that because we're talking about you. you know, I mean, there's a lot. Yeah, I heard them stories too, but I never. That's all. That's you. I mean, you got to be you, and I always
Yeah,
accepted you and
yeah,
your talent. You know, I always thought it was. Hey, listen, the guy is good. The guy is not afraid. I never
yeah.
found you to be afraid to do, and that's what this acting is about. It's not being afraid.
Yeah, you got to get
Go
up and
there.
get up and get up and get up. That you learn acting from just doing play after play. I
Well,
mean,
you
for
were
me,
lucky too, in a sense, and I was too. When we were as finalists, we were allowed to get up by ourselves.
yeah,
The studio back then,
right.
we could get up and
You
work
can't do that,
alone.
really. Hmm.
Don't you remember that? I mean, as a
Yeah,
finalist, I could get up. I worked on Gary Gilmore, and I did Alfari and all them things. I never forget when I was doing Alfari, Hildy Brooks was moderating, and you know how she feels about smoking.
right.
Yeah, she stood out the door, and the side door, and moderated because I smoked on stage back then. What a gift she is. I see Netflix now. I watch Netflix, and when they have the ratings, they put smoking up there. I don't understand what that means, but I always think of her. When I
Yeah.
see no, you know, they smoking in the scene.
She said something about me. She said you were like a volcano underneath the ocean, and I thought, wow, that was a beautiful because
That's
it was like I get this fire, but then this water is able to receive and to, there was something about that when she told me that because she was focusing in on my nature, and that was a beautiful observation
it
that
is.
she
It's
had.
like a contained fire in the
Yeah,
water. It's contained.
right, contained with the water, which is
Yes,
about receiving.
right.
So
So
many times in the actor studio, like what they did with me all the time, they love when I put a sports jacket on because it would contain me.
yeah,
A little bit, the Catholic schoolboy would come out a little bit. If not, I was like I'm all over the place. You know what I mean? But with the suit on, I was like, and Mark Rydell said, everything I've asked Kevin to do, he's done, and so these were all good lessons. And it's funny, to play with me with little glasses on, and playing a nerdy guy. I'm almost more free in that role than I am because I'm just like a big fucking dog. Oh, excuse me, what's my language? I'm like a big dog here. You know what I mean? But I love to play character, find different things, and
that's what studio's for.
yeah, and
To find them things.
but in so many times in people have written plays for me. Alan Bound wrote plays. Shem Bitterman is a playwright and I was flattered with that, but it was I still have to find the character, and when somebody says you got to be yourself, I'm going, what's that, But I like the play I did with Barry, the A Corona. I had to find that through myself. You know what I mean? Because I was going through all this stuff in relationships, and
You have a
so
lot of wind coming through your window.
oh yeah, sorry,
No, it's just that the audience.
the Holy Spirit, John. It's the Holy Spirit, the Holy Ghost.
I don't know about the Holy Spirit, but something's coming in your window.
Sorry about that.
No, it's this way the audience doesn't get disturbed when they listen to you.
No,
That's really wonderful. You really are one of those gifts from the Actors Studio, and my mind went somewhere else before I was thinking about. Go on, Kevin, keep going because you have so much energy in you.
yeah,
So many stories.
yeah. Just there's, I mean, just so it's hard to admit to go back to, but it's funny how going back and writing about when I was homeless and I was living in the woods and I never ate out of garbage cans, but I was bouncing around and to go back and to look at that and to write from that point of view, you know what I mean? I mean, you don't think people don't realize it's like a homeless guy wears a jacket in the middle of summer, and they go, why is he wearing that jacket in the middle of summer? Because the smell, his own scent that he has, he's protecting, and I may smell, very to you, and you might not forget, but that's all I got left. That's all you got left for your self-esteem is your own smell. And the one thing that's weird is you don't have a key in your pocket. it was an interesting. So I was really out there, and that was the time that I said it was the first time in my life I couldn't create. You know what I mean? Because I was in such a dilemma, and I knew that I had to go back and to write about that, or to go in there, and to because on the grace of God. But I was like I was living in such a I was so vulnerable. You know what I mean? I mean, guys put knives in my throat, and you're sleeping outside. It's like, you're going through all your private stuff outside. And here I was living in the woods, and it was it's upstate New York, and in the fall, and the guys were going to shoot some deer, and they're going, "What is that? Can we shoot it?" I'm coming out with a beard, like looking like Richard III, and so. Writing about this is interesting. Going back, writing about my home and my family, because I went back and I stayed with them, and it was just a lot of very very difficult time. But it's a time I came out of, and all the myths. It talks about that the myth of Prometheus, but. The resurrection is the myth in Christianity, but what's the one where the bird dies and it comes back to life again? And that's kind of like what's happening there is you reach a point in your life where you have to change. You have to change your skin, and everything's got to go for you to step into a new person, and that's a very dangerous time because a lot of people lose it. A lot of people, Jim Morrison and this one, and they didn't get out of there. They didn't make it. You know what I mean? They got lost in the reverie of what they were involved in. So I was kind of lucky in some ways when I think about it in hindsight that I had to go through that because I'm stubborn and and I had to go through the physicalization of going that far down to strip me of the ego and all that stuff. And then to come out of it, I was going, I'm holding on to this little room I got in Hollywood. Because I was thinking about this little room when I was out there. And so that's the kind of a period now I'm looking at as a writer, and I wish I could do more Zoom. We'd be great for that place. Somebody help. I worked on that. I worked on both parts.
What's that?
There's some men need help.
Oh,
you know what I talk about? We're going to talk about if we have some time. Michael Pollard. Oh, we did talk about him. Let's talk about him some more.
It was something I was just gonna. You've done a lot, but some actors are going to be watching this. What would you recommend to the new actors out there? What would you say to them coming up? What should they do?
Well, I don't know if it's just for me. It was just getting up and exploring the process of being an actor. Whether in doing a play, there's something about that you have a certain time to catch it and go, and directors, and you're trying to find a process that's working in it. And then you find it opening night, you get to go someplace, and because it's just you. It's the same thing with the studio. Is getting up and like Mark would have me work on a guy with a suit. I had a different way of approaching things, and that helped me. Different experiences like that where you're doing stuff, whether it's on the stage or not. I don't know. I guess the Zoom is a big deal now, but I still think it's important to get together with other people. And for me, I'm a stage actor. I haven't had like a movie career.
You went to HB, and no.
Yeah.
I recommend. I almost went there when I got out of Sing Sing.
Oh, really? Yeah.
Yeah, but they sent me to Terry Schreiber because they.
Oh yeah, Terry Schreiber. I know you.
They figured it'd be one-on-one, but I wish I would have went to there. But her book, Salome Jens, is the one that turned me on to A Challenge for the Actor. And I always recommend that to actors to read.
Who wrote that?
Uta Hagen.
Uta Hagen, yes. Yeah.
The second book is the best book on acting there is. And the other thing that I learned a long time ago, and I tell actors, in order to be a success, you have to be willing to fail.
Yes. Hmm.
And today, I find most actors, especially in this country, America, are not willing to fail. They want to be movie stars more than they want to be actors.
Yeah. Yeah, I don't. I can't understand it. You. Uh, I can't understand it really. I mean, I always felt like when I doing theater, I had an opportunity to really travel someplace and there was a process involved whereas this other thing is that you get a call and you got to play a detective. You shoot somebody and then you got to play a guy who gets shot. And you work on getting shot. That's about it. I mean, it's almost. And I'm not going to say anything about film acting because I love to do film and I've done films and leading roles in whole films, but it still feels like a little bit like modeling a little bit. Do you know what I'm saying? Because it's you do 3 seconds of something, or the biggest scene you're going to have with another actor is about 30 seconds. Nothing ever goes beyond that. So it's interesting finding that the moment of what's happening in those 30 seconds, but still it's not the same thing as going into the ring. You know what I mean? There's going into the ring is as an athlete, Janae said. Or Toe, I forget which one they said, the actor is the athlete of the heart. It was such a beautiful way of putting it, so I don't know. I mean, going after television and going that way is, that's a whole choice to make. And, I don't know if I had success in that area of my life, maybe I'd just be doing that all the time. I wouldn't work on plays like I do. But I'm out of the theater. Like me being an actor led to me being a playwright because I'd done so many plays, and then I was with that midget outside the whorehouse, and and so theater was important. And then out of that, my hand got cut, and I started playing music. And the songwriter was because I was a playwright. I knew how to write a song and study Woody Guthrie and Bob Dylan, Bruce Springsteen, and so I was able to access the talent of being an actor, which I always was doing, to being a playwright. So I've written a lot of plays that I feel like some need rewriting, and I've written a trilogy about my family, and then music came, which is a whole nother gift that I was given. Writing songs but I feel like I'm going back and I'm writing, but I feel like I wish I could go back and do more acting. I don't know. I guess you can just do Zoom now. I don't know, but I think it's kind of interesting to this, because a lot of the acting now is going to be like, I mean, casting directors, you get on a screen, right? I mean, I don't know if people even meet anymore, do they?
Nobody meets anymore.
I mean, I used to have pictures and resumes you used to give to the person, and you had to go into the room and audition, and so many times I was going to a room and one time when I did Orphans, I came in as a tough guy, and then the director said, "Try Philip," and I just crossed my legs and I looked at him and I had it. Biloxi Blues was all these plays that I did, like a cast in, was because I met the people there, and they could see me in a way that, because of the energy that I have, they could see me going here, going there, doing this. And I don't know if you can catch that here. I mean,
I don't know about Zoom. I had a lot of the same experiences. I go in for one part and I get another part.
Yeah.
The directors, they see something different.
Because they got to smell you. I mean, a good director is going to
this and that.
Yeah.
I remember I went for great director. I forgot his name now. Extreme Prejudice was the name of the movie. But anyway, when I was walking out, he says to me, "What's the best film on you?" I said, "Probably The Post Office." I got a call back, for a part.
Right.
I mean, you don't get to do them things on tape.
Right.
You don't get to do that.
Yeah.
Where you can, they can see you.
Right. And the other thing is really knowing how to use this. And now people, you got an audition, you go here. You see, you got to get the Zoom correct to send the picture. You do a selfie audition. You send it to the casting director. It's all it's all kind of a. And you have to, yeah. If you want to you want to participate in the game, you have to play that way. You have to get involved with the way it's happening. And
I'm glad you brought
I
that
kind
up.
of shied away from that.
I'm glad you brought that up because one of my ex-agents, Sharon DeBoer, when I was with Mikel Jennings, there's a part in New York. She thought I'd be right for it, but I don't have a cell phone. I know, I'm me. I used to be an ex-gangster, so I'm near phones. We never got along. Till this day, I still don't have a cell phone. And, but I got to get. I'm looking at you with that hat, and I just kind of. I got. If I want to get back in the game, I got to get that thing.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? You got to. I'm so glad you said that, Kevin.
Well, listen. You're doing great. I mean, getting this up today. I mean, for the audience out there, I was muted for like 20 minutes, and John was going, "What are we doing? I can't hear you." And I'm going, "Oh shit! I got to go." So I got lucky, and I pushed one button, and my voice came back on. So the fact that you're doing this through Zoom means that you're not totally afraid of working with the.
No, I'm not afraid of it. But to get back in the game, I need to get a cell phone and start doing those things. It's like many, many years ago, a quick story before we go off. Salome used to get all my money. I used to have all my checks mailed to Salome because I would, I never had a bank account and this and that. And she told me, when are you going to be legit? Go legit, It took me it's only about maybe a little over 10 years now that I've had a bank account. I always said my bank account was, my pocket.
Right. Well, you came, you have a story, it's different than mine, but you came to a point where, you died in a way, I mean, or, and you've come back from that.
Yeah, well.
So your journey is a journey of a hero, man. You may not see it, I may not see it for me, but I can see your life being a journey of the hero, and sometimes I can see my life being that.
I stood up. You might say, that I'm very proud of it. I have no regrets of my background.
Yeah.
I did what I did. I stood up. I did my time.
Right.
You know what I mean? My name is still respected in neighborhoods.
Yeah.
When I go out there, the name John is still known, and it's respected, and I like that.
Yeah.
I told people many, many years ago when instead of picking up a script, I picked up the gun. Which is true back in the 60s.
Well, what did Al Capone said? Words are nice, but a gun and words are nicer.
It's true. Listen, Kevin, this has been great. I don't want to go too much because I'm going to put this up on YouTube and Facebook. I finally learned how to get,
Well, it's funny. The whole time I'm doing this, I have a tooth that's missing, so I was trying not to smile. You know what I mean? Which is kind of interesting.
Yeah.
Just having a tooth in there, trying not to smile. I tell a quick story. I was doing a play at the Writers Guild of America, right? And I was playing a lawyer, like the guy from Nebraska, so I had these glasses on. But when I was off stage in the first act, I took a bite of an apple and the tooth broke. So I had to put the tooth back in there, and I was trying the whole play. My whole intention was don't let the tooth come out, because when I was in the first act, I was going blah, 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 and the tooth came out. And I caught it and put it back in, So it was interesting, playing this kind of like a lawyer from the Midwest, and just trying to keep the tooth in the mouth, Anyway.
Well, on that note, on your tooth, I want to thank you, Kevin. It's really been a pleasure. I really enjoyed this.
Yeah, I love John. I love watching the studio, working on the O'Neill pieces, and getting up there. I think it's great that you're doing this and you're helping other actors to be able to.
Speaking of O'Neill, when we spoke, Mark Rydell gave me the greatest compliment that I've had. After I did Huey, he said, "I love to work with you." Which coming from Mark Rydell.
Sure.
Said, wow. Then I know I'm doing something right.
Yeah.
Remember, David Patch. Remember David Patch?
Right, David Patch.
One day he came up to me. He said, "I know you for years." And he saw me doing Huey for the first time. He says, "Now I know why you're a member."
Mm.
I thought, wow, that's really nice.
David says something to me once. He said, they said, so, the scene was over. He said, so how are you working with Kevin? And I said, I just let him go.
Yeah.
Because, where he goes, he's going to wind up in the good place. I can't direct him, which he was directing me. But I mean, it was like he was cool enough to say, let his fire take him, because, he's going to get there, Again, a method director who's allowing the actor to discover where to go and then directing him at that right time.
Right time.
He'd be great in that. I mean, Huey, that and the other, that I just know you sit in a hotel lobby. It's just about as natural as you can do. You belong there, like the chairs belong there.
Thank you, Kevin.
I saw what you did too, and I loved it. And I commented about how special it was, and how I really loved that you got up and did it, and how you had the communion between the actor and the self, And I appreciate your work, John.
I appreciate yours, my friend. Thank you.
Okay.
On that compliment, I'll end this and put it up there. Thank you.